There we go. Now it's on. Okay. Welcome this afternoon to our Board of Equalization meeting. For house cleaning purposes, keeping purposes, I will suspend the rules so that I can second motions or make motions. So we have a number of items on our agenda. The first one, two, three. The first three, is there any reason why we can't do them in a block? Can we do them in a block, Paul? Okay, if there's any questions on there or anything like that, then we can do a motion on that.
Make a motion that we approve agenda items 1, 2, and 3.
And I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. Number 4, I know I looked through number 4. Has a list on there. Any questions, number 4?
None.
Okay, motion be in order then.
Make a motion that we approve agenda item 4.
Are you talking about the late?
Yeah, they're on number 4.
Okay. Did you want me to provide any information on this one?
Number 4,
Yeah.
I didn't have any. Did you have any?
I had no questions on it. Was there something that you felt that we should?
Do we have to give a? Do you want a? I know it was related to COVID. The COVID, they showed
Well,
some documentations with it.
Yeah. The Mr. Lyons is asking for the late petition to be accepted on the basis of a medical emergency part of that.
Right. That's what I
And
was referring
apparently
to.
his wife came down with COVID. But as I noted in the comments, this is the third appeal that Mr. Lyons has done, and the second time he's applied late, and the second time he's applied for a late petition to be considered under a medical exemption. He applied late last year also, claiming a medical exemption, and was approved at that point because it was because of a cancer diagnosis, and now it's COVID. So I just think the board should probably consider that the history here as well. This is the third time he's appealed in a row. He appealed in 2018, 2019, and 2020.
Even with the letter on there and showing the documentation.
Well, the documentation just shows that his wife contracted COVID around the time the filing happened. But this is not his first time filing for an appeal. This is his third time. It's yeah. So I mean, one would think that he would know the deadlines. I mean, I'm not trying to make a recommendation. I don't know if Paul has anything he wanted to add to that, but the medical exemption, I don't know necessarily. Well, anyways.
I'll just add that under the standards that a medical emergency is an appropriate grounds to grant this type of an application for a late appeal, and that the applicant should also show that no co-owner of the property was capable of filing the appeal. But that's all I have to add.
And the question, of course, is, does a COVID contraction necessarily constitute a medical emergency? I mean, we have no idea if his wife was in the hospital or if this was just, someone had a cold for 2 weeks. So those are things to be considered. Plus, he's not providing any evidence that he himself contracted COVID other than a statement in the petition. And again, third time he's appealing his property value in 3 years.
So he didn't clarify what he meant by this COVID reaction then.
Right.
He didn't specify.
He did show that there was a positive test in his household, but we know from our experience now that just because one person in the household gets it doesn't mean that all the people in the household gets it. It doesn't necessarily mean that they all get it at the exact same time.
But they are quarantined.
Yeah. I would like to point out, though, that the Board of Equalization, that the appeal system, once the shift came in March for us to take everything online, the entire process can be done remotely, including filing appeal, attending your hearing, communication with the county. So, none of that was required to be done in person.
I make a motion that we deny the petition.
This is number 4. We're going back to number 4.
Yes.
I haven't had COVID. I know it disrupts the family quite extensively.
Yes.
even though if you don't have it, and then with them being older, I would assume that there's a lot of anxiety that goes on with COVID as well, with somebody in the house that has it, not wondering. I wonder how disruptive that is on a household. I mean, the past stuff is the past stuff. It's hard for me to, to separate that and say, medical emergency last year was valid, medical emergency this year is not valid. Just thoughts.
Old are these folks again?
Say that again? I have no idea about their age.
Yeah. And again, this is they're wanting to come in to justify the value, right? So
Yeah.
they're appealing the value. They still have to go through the process
Right.
of determining what that value is. It's not like we're making any determinations with it.
Right.
It's just that we're saying you can go through that process.
Right. And I would like to point out that he has appealed his value 3 years. This would be his third year appealing, both 2 years prior to that. When the county offered an adjustment, he didn't like the adjustment and went through a state appeal, and he does have a state appeal in process still for 2019. So, I mean,
Well, that's interesting because that if it's still in process, then
his 2019 appeal is still
we
in
don't know.
process.
Yeah, we don't know what that's determined.
Right.
So it makes sense that there would be some question on the value.
Right. My question only with, when you have someone who's appealed multiple years in a row like this, my question is, they're now familiar with the process. It's not someone who's appealing for the first time or the first time in a long while. My question always is, okay, this is your third time in a row. How is it you are not aware of the deadlines and filing on time? I agree COVID could be a disrupting factor, but the positive test was September 8th. And the filing deadline starts in July, when the valuation notices go out. Again, I'm not trying to influence the board's decision here. I just want to make sure you have the full relevant facts. That there is some history here that could be considered, but if the board feels strongly that he should still be given the opportunity to file appeal, absolutely he should. So,
I just know if my wife's sick, the whole household's in uproar, and I barely can make anything function. And so that's kind of where I land.
Are we referring to number 5,
Number 4.
number 4, the
We
lines
already
Leon and
passed number
Jeanette?
4.
Yeah.
I mean, we already technically approved number 4. We're just
Okay.
Did
revisiting.
you take a vote on it?
No, we did not.
You didn't vote on it?
I don't think so.
I think you've got a motion before you.
motion.
We had a motion.
motion.
Yeah, you motioned a second, I
Okay,
think.
very
Deny
good.
it.
But then you got another motion.
See how I confused? Yeah.
Well, then I opened my big mouth, so sorry, I disrupted the
We need
process.
a coin to be flipped now.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the history and the fact there's no history, specific history of what the medical condition involves, just simply it's a COVID request.
If I might add one last thing, then I'll promise I'll stop talking.
Are you
But,
gonna flip the coin then?
The further point, I would like to point out though, that Mr. Lyons' appeals, both in 18 and 19, there was an adjustment made after his appeal was heard by the board. So you could see that obviously some valuation adjustment has been made, and perhaps he's still following through on that. People can get into this process, especially when they file late. They can get into kind of a cycle where if they're not filing on time, they basically have to file every year if the value doesn't get adjusted in the correct time frame, because the assessor's office is working off of a single year cycle. And if the appeal is not finalized before the next cycle starts, it can reset back to the prior year's value. So not filing on time can create this problem, but also there could be, maybe maybe they're on the merit of the case. Obviously, we're not looking at the merit of the appeal, but
So that seems like a stronger argument than to grant it.
I'll withdraw my motion and make a
Second
motion. My first motion,
Well, the first motion?
was to deny it, but I'll withdraw that and make a motion to approve it.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 2-0. Number 5.
This is a factual error late appeal on an unfinished basement. The county's records show that the basement is finished. If the assessor's office agrees that that there's a factual error here, then obviously we'd want to get this
Okay.
adjusted.
So this one should be approved.
Make a motion to approve item number
Second.
5.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 2-0. Number 6 is to approve or deny a petition to the Board of Equalization to hear of the property valuation after the filing deadline.
Number 6 is, let me get to number 6 real quick. I made comments on this one. Okay, yeah, so the gentleman, this petitioner was requesting the board hear the appeal on the basis of factual error, on the basis that he did not receive a timely notice. Notification issues are not a factual error. Factual error, of course, refers to things like lot size, finished, total finished square face, total bedrooms, that kind of thing. Something that can be factually verified. A notice issue under the standard would allow for an appeal to go forward if it shows the county failed in its duty to properly notify the petitioner. In this case, based on his own statement and the information provided that we have recorded, shows that the title company recorded a incorrect address for mailing out the notice, but the county sent the notice to the address of record to the owner of record. So the county is not at fault here, which typically is what the standard requires us to find in the case of a notification issue. So.
I agree with that. It seems like this one should be denied. I don't know what you think, Commissioner.
Yes, I've looked at that. I make a motion to deny agenda item 6.
And I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That one's denied with a 2-0 vote. Number 7, to approve or deny a petition to the Board of Equalization for the property value after the filing deadline.
I believe this one is also, yes, this is also a factual error if the assessor's office agrees with the petitioner. I don't know if anyone from the assessor's office wants to. It's a percent complete issue, so I would like to record state that Jim acknowledged that the assessor's office agrees that this could be a factual error.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 7.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Maybe a quick comment on that one, even though it's after your motion. The applicant also asks the Board of the BOE to change the date, the completion date of the home, and I don't think the board can do that. And so that would just go along with the assessor's policies, whatever their policies are on declaring when the improvements are finished.
So probably just a note that we approve that, but we can't change anything that,
Yeah.
So you're approving the percent completion
Right.
Yes.
factual error, but I don't know that you can do anything about the
No,
completion
that's
date.
outside of our purview.
okay. Number 8 is to approve or deny an owner's request to change the taxable status from a secondary residence to a primary residence.
Any history or insight on that?
This is an elderly lady. She sold her home in Arizona, relocated to a property that she had here as a secondary residence, and she submitted good evidence that
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't we, if they're requesting
no,
that?
we have no problem with that
Right,
one.
okay.
Okay, make a motion to approve agenda item number 8.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 2-0. Number 9 is to approve or deny an application for a new property tax exemption for IHC Health Services.
And I believe we've got someone from IHC, representing IHC in the room. I need them to raise their hand on the Zoom call and I can let them into the meeting. But 9, 10, and 11 are all IHC if the
Right.
board wants to tackle these all three together. The first two are applications for new exemptions and number 11 is approval of their continuing statement along with their charity plan. So.
And I believe on the charity plan, they need to demonstrate.
Yep, I've got two people.
They need to give us the charity plan,
All right.
or at least
Let's-
tell us about their charity plan.
All right, I'm gonna bring him in. Okay, I believe we've got Kyle Hansen and Jason Wilson with us. And gentlemen, we can see you, even though you can't see us.
Great.
So can we go down?
Hi there, I'm
through these?
Kyle Hansen.
I know we have them as 9, 10, and 11 on our agenda, and I don't know if you're looking at our agenda or not.
Just for everyone's information, number 9 is the Lehigh Primary Children's application. 10 is parking lots at both Utah Valley and American Fork.
Could we maybe go down through them, starting with 9, 10, and then go to 11?
Yeah, as I understand it, number 9 is our primary children's campus that is under construction in Lehigh. And so that's now underway, and we're excited about what that's going to bring to the county. So this is just a new application on that. And then number 10 was just cleaning up some things that were missed, I think, in prior applications with regards to some parking that had been added at American Fork and at Utah Valley with the parking structure there. That's number 10. The parking is number 10. Number 9 was primary children's.
Okay. And then on number 11, can you demonstrate and go over the charity plan that you have in place and what that means, and give us some facts and figures on it?
You bet, Commissioners. Thanks for the time this afternoon. I'm Kyle Hansen, Administrator at Utah Valley Hospital. We did submit our gifts to the community, including our charity care plan, and just in summary to kind of cover some of the high pieces in terms of the numbers, the 3 hospitals in the county, the total gifts to the community based on the way that it's accounted for and measured in the state tax law here is $232 million, just a little more than $232 million. Of that, $22.7 million was provided in charity care from 3 hospitals, which, based on our estimation, exceeds the roughly $8.8 million we would have paid in property tax if we did not have the exemption. And obviously, excited for our continued growth in the county and continuing to provide more charity care. As you know, we've opened Spanish Fork Hospital this month. And they started providing care to the south end of the community early April. And then we'll be adding a children's hospital here by 2023 in Lehigh on the north end. And so I'm happy to answer any more detailed questions you have in terms of the plan we submitted. But at a very high level, those are the numbers in terms of the measurement of the charity care and the gifts to the community amounts.
Fantastic. And I did visit, I got to go to the Spanish Fork Hospital and go through that, which is phenomenal. There's a lot of good things there. I know that when my wife and I were going through having children, I'm sure we'd like to have had what you have there at that hospital. It seems way above.
Yeah, that was over the top.
Yeah.
My wife and I both enjoyed that tour.
I slept on a chair.
Yeah. Francis is doing a great job with that hospital up and running, and they're excited to be serving the community now. So appreciate the support.
And thank you as well for being our partners to help follow state law when it comes to hospitals. We, without you, would have to find ways to have a hospital, and so we don't want to even touch the administration side of that. So we're glad that you're willing to be our partners in that too.
Well, I know most of us have worked in other states where there are county hospitals, and they aren't exactly the most well-run facilities usually when you kind of pull back the covers and have struggles and things. And so we're grateful to be in a state where we can meet that need and don't have the need for county hospitals in Utah.
Yeah.
Well, I've looked down through this. Is there anything on the staff side that we should be aware of? There's nothing here that I don't see out of ordinary or abnormal.
Nothing, they submitted complete applications as far as we know.
Okay,
Then I'll make a motion that we approve items 9, 10, 11 on today's agenda.
and I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 2-0. Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Just for clarification, did we approve 9, 10, and 11 in one? Okay.
We did, yes. Okay, number 12 is to approve or deny an application for a new property tax exemption for Habitat for Humanity. This was continued so that we could gather more information.
Yeah, and this was, and they were just reapplying basically because the prior year they had failed to apply. So they were just basically, this essentially, they're trying to continue their tax exemption, but had to reapply for a new exemption because they failed to apply in 2020. And I don't believe someone appeared in our last meeting.
No, they were here. Yeah, no, actually, my memory is that they were here last time, and we brought this back because the restore,
Yeah,
we were
Oh,
concerned
right.
that the store facilities
Right.
themselves were not accomplishing a charitable purpose, and it seems like they added a letter to the board to provide more details about the going-ons at the restore site, at the two restore sites.
Yeah, I remember bringing up that similar to Boy Scouts and Girl Scout offices, they also have stores as part of their overall structure to promote the programs. And I have not been to their store to look at their wares, but
Yeah, I think we also were kind of comparing them to the Deseret Industries to see if they kind of operated in a similar fashion to the, it's not just a retail store, but it's actually a charitable
Well, they're,
charitable effort at the
Yes.
store.
the restore probably could also be classified as a thrift store because they resell donated building supplies and materials. I mean, they're
yes.
kind of like a Deseret Industries
At
Home Depot
discounted
style.
rates. Yeah, discounted goods and
Yeah.
that they're offering.
so Paul, I mean, this is one that you brought up, it satisfies what you're looking
Yeah,
at
I
too.
think so. They run an employee program similar to the Deseret Industries. We mentioned recycling
Yeah.
effort. They facilitate other volunteerism. So I'm satisfied, but
Okay.
it's obviously the board's decision if they feel like the restore is a charity.
Commissioner,
Yes,
I don't know if you can hear me.
we can hear you.
Okay, I apologize for not being there. I'm recuperating from surgery. They called, they were not going to be able to come today. They didn't have anyone they could come. So they hoped that the letter that they sent in would show that, like you're saying, that it's kind of like a Home Depot DI type place. I've been there many times, and it's all used stuff that people that are tearing out their kitchen bring their cabinets there, or people donate office furniture and things like that. It's nothing's new. And it's half of the building is their offices, and half of the building is the restore.
Okay,
And then there's a whole bunch of stuff outside.
And like I mentioned, I believe they did appear last time, so they've probably satisfied the.
They did.
requirement.
okay. I'm inclined to approve. I don't know if you have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 12.
And I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's approved 2-0. Number 13 is to approve or deny an application for a new property tax exemption for the Friends of Utah County Children's Justice Center.
And I believe we've got Rebecca Martell here on the line from the Children's Justice Center.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
Go ahead and explain this.
Okay, so this is for the property that was purchased by the Friends of the Utah County Children's Justice Center. They purchased this property at the beginning of November of 2020. And this property is currently undergoing renovation and will be used for the purpose of the Utah County Children's Justice Center operation once it's all completed. So as you guys are well aware, that'll be a home-like facility where child victims are able to come in and be interviewed by law enforcement and DCFS. A safe home-like environment where they can access resources, including medical exams, therapy, and other services.
So the only question I have, Rebecca, and maybe for Paul, is who is this tax exempt status for? Is it for the Children's Justice Center or for the nonprofit arm of Friends of the Children's Justice
That's a
Center?
great question. Yeah, so it is for the nonprofit arm. So, as you know, the Children's Justice Center is set up as a private-public partnership. So we do have a Friends of the Utah County Children's Justice Center, and they are the ones who own the properties that we run services out of.
Okay.
So the owners of the building are the Friends of the Utah County Children's Justice Center.
And so with that the case, then do they check off all the boxes for us? Okay, that was my question. Commissioner, any?
I have no questions. Anything else the staff needs to add to this? Make a motion that we approve agenda item 13 then.
And I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that passes 2-0.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. Okay, we have a number of continued ones. This one, number 14, is to approve or deny the 2021 annual statement for a continued property tax exemption for Shooters Soccer Club. Say that fast. I know this one's kind of bounced in there a couple of years back and forth. And I cannot remember exactly what we were verifying on this one,
Right.
though.
If I can, Commissioner, so this one they were initially given their exemption a couple years ago. Last year, they were able to get their exemption as an educational
Yes.
organization, but then the state changed the rules on us, and they have to now qualify as a charitable organization. So Mr. Parker is joining us here, and he'll be able to cover as to how the organization basically covers their gift to the community and in what way, and how the main sorry, Paul, I'm probably slaughtering this. Anyways, the main focus with a charitable exemption is that essentially the charity is giving back to the community the equivalent or greater value than what we would be receiving in the property taxes, and so that's kind of your base standard that we're looking at. Mr. Parker, the club has provided enough documentation to show that, and just he's here to answer any questions.
You must be on mute. We can't hear you.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me. I sure appreciate your time.
Great.
So I think maybe the best course. We're a soccer organization. It's a 501c3 with the federal government. I think a good comparison is kind of like the board. If we have a group of leaders, coaches in this case, that donate their time to help our community. And in addition to that, a few years ago, when we were encouraged by the current county commission to get more involved within the community, we made that a focus of our club. And that's been super popular from parents, for sure. I have many letters on that with the service projects that were rendered within the community and just getting their kids involved. So on our list there, when we submitted, I put that the coaches, in a conservative estimate, donate over 20,000 hours of service with the 56 teams. And then also, I did a kind of a cost comparison with other local soccer clubs in South Utah County. The North Utah County clubs are even more costly, but ours is run at a 48% discount from the other most reasonably priced club setting. We've also had the last couple of years to run recreation leagues in there. And this year we had more than, we doubled what we did last year, and we had 300 participants playing indoor soccer there. So.
And so can you give us the comparison? Sorry, it's echoing really bad.
I'm sorry, it cut out a little bit.
I'll try to work through this. Okay.
I just muted him so you can ask your question.
Can you give us the comparison that you have on the property tax versus what your figures are for the charity that you've given back? You know what's that? What's those numbers?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to attach a dollar amount to that. I don't know if there's a standard for that, but I've put 20,160 hours. I put at $10 per hour. I don't know if that is good. That was my best guess, and that would be over $200,000 of donated hours through the club leadership of coaches. And then I also had that didn't include the service projects. The service.
Let's see, you cut out there for a second.
After the coach part, you got cut out.
Can you hear us still?
My internet. Oh, there, I can hear you. It just ran across my screen. It said my computer connection is unstable, but I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay. And so as we now have this information, does it click down through the boxes that you're looking at for?
Well, this one is, it's at least more complicated than it appears, and I think Diana Flores has some comments.
I would just like to point out to the commissioners that in the code,
This is Diana Flores from the
Sure.
Attorney's Office. I don't know
Sorry.
if you guys know Diana, but.
Okay.
I've been appearing online. This is my first time in person. And so there's the exclusive use exemption, which means the property is used exclusively for the charitable purpose. And so charitable purpose means that it's providing a gift to the community. And the code further defines gift to the community as lessening of the government burden, and then it lists 5 things. And I think it's important to look at some of those. And so one of them is the use of the property is supported to a material degree by donations and gifts, including volunteer service. And so he did mention that the coaches are volunteering their time, but it's also, we should note that those coaches' kids receive partial scholarships, as he noted in his application, and the rest of the kids are paying fees to participate in this rec league. So I'm not sure how much donations and gifts are used to support the property. And then another point of gift to the community is the recipients of the charitable activities provided on the property are not required to pay for the assistance received in whole or in part, except that if in part to a material degree. And as we mentioned, the players do pay a fee to participate in this. They do offer some scholarships. I think in their application they noted that they offer 14 full scholarships, and then as mentioned they have the partial scholarships for their coaches' children.
So in essence, you're not seeing the charity back to the community outweighing.
No, and he did mention that they do service projects, but none of those service projects are performed at the soccer field or the property in question.
There's a bunch of them that are performed at the complex and a bunch that are also performed in the community. And I should have included.
Oh, you cut out on us there.
While we get him back, I probably just want to comment that we may have got off track a little bit because the standard's not actually whether or not they provide a benefit that's greater than the tax amount. That analysis is used for the charity plans for hospitals and nursing homes. That is not the standard for charitable exemptions. Charitable exemptions have an exclusive use standard. So just so we're clear on the standard, it's not whether or not their charitable
thank you.
contributions exceed the tax
Okay.
amount. It's actually, they have to have exclusive charitable use of the property.
Of the property.
This property is mixed use.
Well, that's the determination for the board to reach, but if it is mixed use, then they don't satisfy the exclusive use requirement. That is the crux of the issue here.
And how is this property
Is
used?
there any questions? Is there any questions that I can specifically help answer regarding the property? And it is kind of cutting out on me.
In your determination, how do you define exclusive use of the property for your charity? Your charity.
We exclusively use that property. The soccer club runs within the state UISA organization. It has over 60,000 participants, and so we participate in their programs. And then we run some of our own programming. The recreational thing was one thing that I mentioned here, but the club has the exclusive use of it.
So they are part users. Do you own that property, or you use it on a percent?
Yeah. No, yes, the club owns the property, the club owns the building, and the club are the sole user of that building.
So the club owns, it's an indoor soccer field, and an outdoor soccer field at the property, as well as some other farm ground, but I think that's being treated separately. Yeah, so they own the property, it's just whether or not they're putting it to an exclusive charitable use, or whether it's part something that's not charitable and part something that maybe is charitable. The board would need to make a decision whether or not the club dedicates the property to the exclusive charitable use.
Well, and this is, it's important to point out that the use of the property is similar to other charitable organizations that we've granted. For example, IHC, which qualifies under charitable exclusive use, does have some of their property that they have is percent taxable. This particular property that we're talking about, they have some of their property that is still being farmed, and we grant them a percent taxable, and we tax that part of the farm, of the ground that is still being used for profit. The remaining portion is dedicated to the exclusive use of the club for the indoor soccer. Basically, that's the building and the parking lot area of the property. They collect fees, I would say, similar to Boys and Girls Clubs and Boy Scouts. Both organizations which are granted charitable exemptions in a similar manner. Both organizations collect membership fees and sometimes dues from their members, in addition to going out and collecting donations and doing other gifts, and also perform service projects in the general community, not necessarily on the property itself. Again, similar to scout camps that operate basically as revenue sources for the local councils. So as far as like the fees and those kind of things, those are things that we see in other organizations and other charitable endeavors.
So this is interesting to me because if we're looking at charitable organizations like hospitals and others, obviously it's not about profit because they can make a profit and they can have full-time staff hired and those types of things happen. The definition, though, coming back to on a charitable basis, an exclusive use for a charitable basis, gets a little fuzzy as you're walking through that, though, because what do you determine is charitable or not? And how do you define that as being charitable if you're giving scholarships out, if you're doing service projects, even, in or out, or preparing them in and taking them out to the communities? How in the standards do we measure that?
So the standards define gift to the community as lessening of a government burden, or, and then it lists the 5 things, and we talked about 2 of them. The use of the property is supported to a material degree by donations and gifts, including volunteer service. The provision of a significant service to others without immediate expectation of material reward. The recipients of the charitable activities provided on the property are not required to pay for the assistance received in whole or in part, except that if in part to a material degree. The beneficiaries of the charitable activities provided on the property are unrestricted, or if restricted, the restriction bears a reasonable relationship to the charitable objectives of the nonprofit entity that owns the property, and any commercial activities provided on the property are subordinate or incidental to charitable activities provided on the property.
Right. And so if I apply that to the hospital, there's things in there that I'd be like, it would throw things into a little bit of question too.
Well, that one particular line that on standard 5, I think she's referred to as the total gifts the community exceeds on an annual basis is property tax liability for that particular year.
Which is the government burden side.
Well,
Yes.
I think that is specific to the healthcare industry, but
I think that standard 4 and 5 was pretty much open to all charities.
yeah.
Oh, you're
structures.
in I was reading from the code on their definition of gift to the community. I think you're looking in the standards of practice.
Yeah,
Is
standard
that
4
right?
and 5 is what I was looking at.
So a couple of things the board may also look at is the beneficiaries of the charitable use should be unrestricted, and
Oh,
in this case, the hospitals don't turn people away. The hospitals will serve anybody that comes through the door, regardless of their ability to pay, and things of that nature. Quite frankly, I'm a little bit concerned about, not that you are a precedent-setting board, but if you grant the charitable use to a soccer club, what's to prevent the 20 gymnastics gyms in the county to come in and ask for a tax exemption for their gymnastics gym, CrossFit gyms, Vasa Fitness? You're going to see a lot of athletic type team sport, athletic organizations claiming a similar tax exemption, and might have a difficult time, separating out those
Yeah, I
groups.
hear you. How many other sport entities do service to the community? We aware of any?
The Boy Scouts,
But they're not a sports organization.
they had
Right.
soccer and scouting for a number of years, and that's a big part of their programs in California.
Soccer?
Soccer and scouting. That's replaced Cub Scouting in a lot of the Latino markets.
Right, and I don't really think Shooters was actually doing service projects until they came here and were advised to do service projects. So, you could have CrossFit gyms might give back to the community, and if they don't now, they could do a service project annually. And if that's the kind of direction the board wants to go, I'm just kind of trying to open your, help you
it's a very strong argument, Paul.
realize where this is going.
Yeah. Okay.
I would like to point out, though, on the application that Shooters meets the otherwise requirements for a nonprofit organization. They're organized as a 501c3. They have a volunteer board. They have volunteers. They provide their services at not a great cost, but as a community outreach. Their method is soccer versus something else. So in the scenario that Paul's talking about, if an organization organizes itself as a 501c3 and can provide that it's providing a charitable benefit to the community, then how could we deny them a charitable exemption? I don't think the method that I don't know if there's anywhere in the standard that requires
I would
that we
just,
decide.
like to point out that in the standards of practice, it does state that qualifying as a nonprofit or a 501c does not automatically
Right.
fulfill the charitable purpose
Right.
exemption.
Well, my point being is that if the organization meets all the standards and can show the benefit back to the community, does it matter what they're doing? We have several organizations. We have organizations that you could class as sports organizations that deal with horses and animals. There's an organization we give the exemption to, that they work with kids and do horsemanship and horse therapy. You could probably classify that as a sport.
That's a great point. For example, Bridle Up Hope. If they ran a rodeo during the day and then they did a service with the girls in the evening,
Right.
I think that would violate the exclusive use provision, right? Because they're doing a lot of non-charitable work on the property along with some charitable work. So it violates the exclusive use provision. If they're running a soccer club and doing some charity, you've got to find that all of their use of the property is charitable. That's what you have to find. And so, if a CrossFit group were to come in and organize themselves as a nonprofit and then say that they did some charitable work, you say, okay, well, is all of your use of the property charitable? That's the standard you have to find.
If I may for just a moment, it's and I know this is one man's word, but it's been a labor and not of love for every moment. There was a lot of heartache in building that building and personal sacrifices, but we keep. I'm a school teacher by trade, by day. And we try to keep those fees low. And in fact, the money comes in to pay for things that need to be paid for. Like we have to pay Spanish Fork City to be able to use their fields to play outdoor games. We have to pay for the referees. We have to pay for those. So those fees are set. And there's every year the money comes in to run the program, and then the money is emptied at the end of the year. What's the financial year for the club. Every penny that goes into the organization is used within the organization during that year to pay for that the organization, for the 501c3.
I'm thinking of organizations like the YMCA. They had multiple facets of services to the community. I don't know what they focus on now, but years ago, they were deeply involved with the community and had a place to go for a variety of activities. I'm unclear how this fits to something like that.
Yeah, I am too. I am too. I'm unclear just I hear the standards that are being read there, and I hear what Paul's saying on exclusive use and on a charitable basis. I'm not sure.
Is there a specific question that I could help answer that the charitable use, like everything we do at that building, is exclusively for the 501c3? It's all functioning around there. Teams are weather getting pulled in there all the time. We had fires years ago. They were using that. They use that all winter. We try to use that building as much as possible to help run that program. And solely that program.
Mr. Parker, what I would like to see is on the standards side, all the questions that are listed out there, and to have your answers next to them on how they fit those standards. That would be very helpful for me. If you were to get a copy of those standards and then just address every single one of them, that'd be helpful for me.
Maybe you could read him the question if he doesn't have it in front of him.
Well, I think
Sure, is there a way that,
There's this is pretty bad. This is part of the issue. There are several elements within each standard 4 and standard 5. And if he were to go through, is what Commissioner Lee is suggesting, to go through those sentence by sentence and address those, that might help clarify.
Could we send you a copy of those, Mr. Parker, and then have you address those and then bring this back for another discussion?
yes, that'd be fine. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, we'll make sure that you get a copy of those. Would you be able to do that? Make sure he gets a copy sent to him email wise, and then hopefully we can continue this till the next one. So that would be
Yeah,
that'd be a motion.
So I'll motion that we continue this to the next Board of Equalization then.
Okay.
Which, do we have a date for that? Is it a month from today?
That would be May 27th.
May 27?
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that passes 2-0. Number 15 is to approve or deny an annual statement for continuing property tax exemption for Provo nonprofit housing development. This was also continued. For more information,
Hang on, Commissioners, let me go ahead and bring the person here that's representing that into the meeting.
I think this was pulled off possibly at my recommendation. I know that the applicant had a number of properties, and I think you approved some, and we pulled this one off. And the concern here is that this specific property is vacant, is my understanding, is that it's vacant. It's the old restaurant on University going south from here. And again, we're talking about to qualify, these properties must be put to the exclusive use of a charitable purpose. And vacant properties don't qualify as put to the charitable use.
okay, Robert,
If
I
I
see you
can-
there.
Yeah, if I can comment to that. So, all we do is develop affordable housing, and we are getting ready to probably in the next 90 days to file for zoning change on this property. And we are working with an architect to develop plans. These projects take years. 85 North, our 7-story building there that we're getting ready to break ground on, has taken 2.5 to 3 years. And this, hopefully will not take that long to get this developed. But purchasing the land, you have to control the land to start the process. And so, having vacant land is just a part of the process that has to happen. And I can't see separating out vacant land that's being used for future development of affordable housing as not being a tax exempt purpose.
So a couple questions for you, and I appreciate all the work you do on affordable housing.
Thanks.
The question though, within the parameters that we have, do you have any building permits, excavation stuff specific to that piece of property as of the first of the year? Anything like that?
No, we don't. No, we're in process now to get the zoning changed, and we've done a little bit of work there just to make sure that property is safe and secure, and we keep it up so that it is not an eyesore for the city. But no, at this point, we've started the process of putting plans in place, but I mean, like, if you look at 85 North, we bought the land in 2019, and we're going to be breaking ground in May. So if a shovel in the ground is the, is the test, or even filing for the permits, we'll be, probably towards the end of this year before we would be putting in for permits.
Well, the question that I have to Paul on this one, it's easier when there's a shovel in the ground or a permit that's been filed. It's easier for us. But going back to past, if this is a part of their process, and Paul remembers the process questions very well, if this is a part of their process, does that still count towards intent?
I don't think so. I know that with the other property owner that helps with low-income housing, we require building permit or some, construction to show that the
Curb and
use-
gutter, stuff
Yeah,
like that
curb and-
was
yeah,
done?
Yeah, some indication that they've irrevocably dedicated that property to a charitable purpose.
How about the permitting process before you could even put the shovel in the ground?
Yeah, a building permit would be fine.
Because he sounds like he started that process.
I
Right.
have not started permitting. We're looking, we have to rezone first, so that's the first
Okay,
step,
let me
and that'll
step
be
back
done.
further. So the rezoning process then, okay.
I will say that I think we had this same discussion 12 months ago.
I wasn't here.
Right. No, I'm just saying that I think we questioned this 12 months ago, and they said this is about to be put into the exclusive use. And now, here we are 12 months later. But
COVID.
I think you granted it. I think the board granted their application last year, even though we had this same discussion, and then it's been vacant for a year. So it received, tax exemption for a year while it was sitting vacant. Now it's still vacant.
Yeah, and the difference here is that this organization has at least a history of doing it.
I'm talking about the exact same property, same organization,
Oh,
same property.
I missed that part.
Yeah. Last year we had the same conversation about this restaurant.
Okay.
That's a restaurant, not a housing facility, correct?
Currently, it's a vacant restaurant. I think they have plans to maybe tear it down and build something. I don't know what their plans are, but currently it's a vacant restaurant building.
When was the zoning process begun, Robert?
We're looking at starting rezone here within the next 60 days or so. We had plans to get started on that last year, but last year was kind of a tough year for everybody, and we had other issues that we had to work on, as I'm sure you understand, and so we didn't get the work done on it last year that we were planning on.
So last year being when? March, April last year?
Well, they applied for the exemption last year at the same time, so we would have had the discussion probably last April regarding the 2020 tax year.
I'm inclined to approve this because the COVID interference.
I can go along with you on that. If it comes up next year, though, it's not going to happen. There's got to be something movement on that. Well, why don't you make a motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve agenda item 15.
And I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 2-0. Commissioner, we need to take about a 45-minute to an hour break.
Okay.
Is that all right?
I'll call for a recess until about 4:45.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. We'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you.